Did you make this? Or did he make this? Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the month of Independence. Today on the agenda is the Beginner's Guide, as made by the creators of the Stanley Parable, apparently. Which means it's sure to have a lot of existential stuff all over it. Especially because it's called the Beginner's Guide. I believe I'm actually aware of this game, but it's been a while. It's pretty hazy. So, let's get started. Please make sure audio is on. Oh, you better believe it's on. Controls, WASD, and mouse click. As one would expect.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Interesting.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way.
Yeah.
And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment.
That makes sense.
What I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since.
I see.
And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game.
Okay.
As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Loading, November 2008. Should be interesting. Whisper machine, status active, evacuate immediately. It's a first-person shooter, I see.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Yeah, it seems like it. But hey, nothing wrong with that. That's how you learn. Whisper machine status active, evacuate immediately.
To fire the gun.
Okay, yeah. You can shoot the gun, I can see that.
Security call reached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
Okay, let's get some action going here.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately, we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized.
Possibly.
Begin shifted activation.
Kind of weird how... Okay. Maybe this is just something that was programmed in as a test?
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Heh. Yeah. Not properly mapped quite right. But it's fine. Funny how that's so dark. Ah, I see. Yes, this makes about as much sense as anything else here.
Apparently, this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Hey, well, you know what? Doom is full of labyrinths on a space base.
This is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Mm-hmm. Whisper
Hey,
engine.
You there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
That's a lot to ask someone, isn't it? Why don't you do it? Disembodied voice. Gotta get someone else to do it, huh? Real brave of you. Sending other people to die.
This is not a branching point, unfortunately. The only option is to step into the beam.
Okay. Okay, good to know that you actually give me information about that. Yep, this is what separates the brave from the weak. The weak send the brave to do their job for them. Zap.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh? What happens instead? Oh, that's wonderful. You know, if this was polished up, it would seem like you're
The beam
becoming...
causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Is that so? Loading, November 2008. I do like the idea that you're floating upwards and becoming one with the universe. The past was behind her. Ooh. Her. Okay, now I can move.
In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Okay. Now I see. Yep, the past was behind her.
So it's a short and relatively
cannot be
minimalist
seen.
experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. Clever. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
Nope.
Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
Some indie games are very short. And hey, they don't need to be anything else, and I can only move forward. You are now entering... There's a freaking invisible wall across the road. Not even a gate or anything, just an invisible wall.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
Okay. I trust you, I guess. December 2008. Nonsense!
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Nonsense in nearly every direction.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him.
I see.
And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
That's a damn shame. Your movement becomes slower.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Okay. I'm guessing the anticipation is far better than the actual reward. It's supposed to make you yearn for that door, you know? Either way. Stand on an X staring at a bear for 3 hours. You run a shop inside your own body, selling your organs strategically to make the most money before you die. You play as a loud, bodiless sound
a room
walking.
That's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Read an enemy's emails to learn how to beat them. Press U to surrender.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Living on a boat, taking orders from the captain is always wrong. A stranger appears. Obviously, this is very there's a lot of deviation between complex and non-complex. January 2009. Ready, set, fish. Sorry, I was so enraptured in that. Looks like a parking lot. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, nice lights you got there.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Okay. What the hell? Okay. Or I just...
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon.
Okay.
We're going to see it a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was sort of right in that you had to close it in. I thought it would be like an airlock, but it's close
That
enough.
seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. I trust you. What the hell? A lot of puzzles. You can't even reach. Oh wait, maybe
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I do not know. January 2009. Let me guess. There's more to this too, isn't there? You're now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Part of a sequel. A series. March 2009. The Great and Lovely Descent. This is certainly playing with my brain, isn't it? A barn. Looks like a Unity. Looks like some kind of
Let's talk about
asset.
video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
Yeah, that's obvious.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Got it. Although
the tools
Half-Life
available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Although Half-Life 2 has a lot of environments, too. It's not all boxy corridors. I guess gameplay-wise, it's a little bit. Oh, that's wonderful. Of course, the most popular for indie games, especially now, is probably Unity. It's pretty much free unless you make like over 100 grand per year on a game, at which point I think you can afford a license, you know? But, and then it has an asset store, like I mentioned, because there's a bit of an infamous value with that, unfortunately, that some people negatively associate with Unity for some reason, although Unreal and other stores, Unreal and some other engines, probably mostly Unreal, they have their own asset store, and there can be asset flips of them. Mostly Unity is the favorite punching bag because the low barrier to entry, and while you can say that that can be a negative thing, due to the fact that basically anyone can go into Unity and make crap, I don't think that's fair to Unity. Although, it's a shame that people don't focus on what it can do, they just focus on what a lot of people make with it. That tends to happen when there's an engine that, a tool of any kind that a lot of people can use, can get into. Typically, you're going to have a lot of crappy results, even a hammer. Even a hammer and nails can produce crappy results. In fact, many people have probably made crappy things with a hammer and nail. And some plywood. So, don't judge the tool just because people have made some less than stellar things with it, you know? But then again, this is about the Source engine, not Unity, so I don't even know why I brought this up. I guess I just feel defensive about it. Oh well. What the? Okay, that's interesting. It's like a big dome in the center of it. Well, a cylinder. A glass cylinder, it would seem. How nice of you to open it for me. This is very linear. Almost deliberately so. What the? Oh, okay. Huh. Just when you think you've figured it all out, it does something different.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the door stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
How nice of you.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible?
Yeah.
And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else.
Okay.
Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
I see. Yeah, being stuck in a prison for an hour with literally nothing there to do doesn't make for good and solid gameplay. There are so many things that you can do with games, but making the player wait for nothing to happen, at least for a long time, that's not the best way to do a game. At least give an option to skip it. I mean, hell, even that Stanley Parable thing with I think the baby and then the dog in the fire.
Again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
That one's obviously a joke ending anyway, and it has you doing something, so it's not just you being stuck in a room for an hour, you know? Ah, probably the same solution, isn't it? Yep.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
I mean, you can say that it's a little bit unique. It requires you to think. Close the switch and then go inside. Because otherwise you could easily get yourself stuck. Listen. Speak. You there, did you...
Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. That's the world above. You've been there. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did. Again, perfect. Now, please tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how you got to the other side. I didn't solve it. Someone else let me in. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. I don't remember how I solved that. I'm trying... Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Oh no, but I do. We do. We need to get there. Do you understand? It is the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there is nothing I want more. Fascinating. I mean, hey, if you want to try to figure out the puzzle that badly, but, not sure if it's possible from this side. Was there a puzzle you had to pass through? What the? Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? No, we actually find the black space between the doors to be far more interesting. Have you seen it yet? Actually, now that you mention it, I feel something strange as I pass through it. Don't think too hard about it. You'll see it again soon. Thanks. Thanks, matey. Yeah, you can see it right here. Then again, there was a lot of black space over there. But it probably
and so
is.
We make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Okay. Let's see what else has to wait for us. What the? I was gonna ask if it was gonna be the prison again, but nope, it appears to be a college campus? That's what it looks like to me.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Lay it on me, man. I can hardly wait. And yeah, I can see a lamppost as symbolic of heading towards a light. It's sort of like a guiding point. April 2009. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All notes you see are left by other players. Somehow I doubt that, but okay. Nice room. Not. I'm guessing that the original game
so
was...
first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet.
Yeah.
All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic.
I see.
But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
Okay. Hopefully.
Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
I see. Define fun.
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Don't listen to that guy. Trust me, I know. But I gotta keep up appearances. Oh, don't worry, I'm just kidding. Need other side door, why you so? Door how open? Open sesame. Makes game includes door, cannot open door, thanks. Wow. Someday I'll meet the person who made this. I help because of the internal good feeling I get. New room. You hear the chimes, they keep you going, don't they? Huh. He's certainly trying his best to make it sound like different people on the internet. I don't know where to go with this. I think I'm just going to walk past them. Although I am going to make an effort to touch all of them. That way you can pause the game and see for yourself. If you really want to. And I already popped past that one. Okay. Something about doing better. Need someone to talk to. I think that shows how lonely he was. Don't listen to the other notes. Well, you can't listen to them, they're not voice acted. I think you mean don't read the other notes? Someone somehow embedded it into the ground. Yet more proof that it was not actually other players leaving that. You know what? I'm running out of... There is a limited amount of time here, so... Let's just go ahead and not activate all of them either. There's probably no reason to. And you can go ahead and pause and read, or hell, there are probably other people on YouTube, but probably 1,000 of them by now, million, billion.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it.
Okay.
And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Interesting interpretation.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Interesting interpretation, but that may sound like death of the
Because
author.
there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here.
Okay.
To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
I'm gonna keep going, though. What the? What's that? Oh, typewriter. I see now. A lot of typewriters. Well, now. You know what they say? Are you there? Please say something. It can be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak, 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 speak. Well, you know what they say? Put a bunch of monkeys in a room with typewriters, they'll write Shakespeare. Made in June 2009. This really is a trippy game. I feel like going further. Porn
Okay, this one
stars
is
die
tough.
too.
It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. I don't feel like stopping. I feel like going forward, just to see where this is going. Hopefully you guys are up for that too. Wonder how long this actually is. Who knows? I just want to keep going forward. Onward we go. Who needs a time limit? The time limit is until it's done. Good time limit for me.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else.
Okay,
cool. Here's version 2.
Neat. And that well again. Except abstract shapes. What furniture ought to go into the center of the room? How about a TV with surround sound? Okay, now what about the wall of the room? 10 stones lined up along the wall. Let's put a huge picture of a horse. Or not. It literally doesn't matter. We'll put live Tesla coils in each corner. Yeah. The illusion of choice. And a table. You need a table. Who are you? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making any difference. See? He's self-aware. Nice puzzle.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Yeah, I see that. Let's just try to navigate it all.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Okay. Hello, please walk forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. First, click on this table. Good, now go to the photo frame and turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa, move it over a little. Finally touch the shelves. Okay. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Okay. Return. Weird. Oh, that's lovely.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside.
Oh, that's nice.
Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen.
Look at that.
Personally, I think it's awful to watch this. To see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on?
Yeah, probably.
But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop. That particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going.
What's that from before?
And then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons.
What?
This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Okay. What's this? Okay. Going out of a building or something, I can't even tell where I'm at. It's pitch black. And that lamppost again. It always comes down to that. My oasis in the desert, my guiding light in the darkness. My muse. Phone. Hello? Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. You're me? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yep, I was in the furniture maze.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
No, I'm really the same person I was back then. It actually does change, but I don't feel like the same person at all. Oh, good. That's so nice to hear. That makes me feel really happy. Age just kind of does that, you know? I'm still me, but I'm not somehow. It's hard to describe. Wait, if you're me, then how did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, I think I'm the first person to call back. I did get a call, that's how I escaped. What did they tell you? What did they tell you to do to get out? All they told me was to be sincere. They asked how I felt about being in prison. They just talked to me for a while. What? What, that freed you? How does that work? Listen, you can't know until you're out, but I promise it works. It will make sense. Okay, I can talk. Let's just talk for a bit. Will you be here? I will be here for as long as you need. Me?
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. August 2009. Can't wait.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Madness. But I'll humor you.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
I see. Clean. I'm glad it's all heck that you showed up. Though I might be having to clean this entire house all by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes. And lousy homes make homeowners.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Now, would you please run to the bedroom and make the bed? Where's the bedroom? Nice music, too. Hopefully not copywritten. While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a bit? All the little details matter. Okay. How'd you enjoy being a house... Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? Well... I don't enjoy it so much as I need it. While I'm working, I feel a kind of calm that rests in the pit of my ribcage. My soul just can't be soothed any other way, it seems. Which I guess is about all that matters. Oh, that and a tidy couch. Would you straighten the pillows of the sofa over there? Okay. Oh dear, looks like someone spilled a drink all over my couch. I feel compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. ... No. No, it was stupid, sorry. Never mind. No, I want to hear it. These dishes need to be washed. Why don't you come do that? Last I checked, the tub needed a cleaning. How about you scrub it down as best as you can? No need to be perfect, we're all just human. Funny how we were supposed to be sharing this work, and yet it seems like I'm doing it all. Books scattered on the floor of the bedroom. If so, would you put them back on the shelf? Fine. Luckily for you, all I'm doing is pressing E over and over again. Why don't you come and clear these dishes off the table? Again?
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
Just something to think about while you smooth out the rug in the bedroom.
I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was, like, grossly happy. all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
That works. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. I get it's a weird thing to say to someone, yeah, you're right, it's pretty cheesy, but there's a bit of truth in it, no? ... Anyway. So. Housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. I guess. Frick. Fine, whatever, Meister. Really?
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Question. Do you enjoy this?
Of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well.
Great.
Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
That's a good point. We must all venture forward. Eventually. And head towards the light.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
You're overanalyzing things. September 2009. Items you love at members-only prices.
This one gets a bit goofy.
Why'd you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. You came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself, compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful? I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp as you teleport from chair to chair. The question is not how we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly? This is easy. My name is Cell, and it is so easy to become perfect.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
Being perfect is effortless. Oh, okay. How do I achieve it with no effort? On the way to work, I told an elderly person to start contributing to society.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are.
Oh, I see.
Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Oh, thanks. You're torturing yourself, you're not doing it right, drinking is not hurting my life. Thank goodness all of you perceive me as being wise and intelligent. Seek out, well, only one thing. What is the easiest, simple path forward? There's no truth, there is no path. Do what is easiest, do what is simplest, feel what is true. Nothing. No one.
I felt pretty hard for this one.
Perfection.
I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Indeed.
I think about this game a lot these days.
I can see why. January 2010. Certainly racking my brain.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
A stage. I mean, graphically it's more complex. You have to say that. Although, maybe it's done using assets. Alright, the performance is beginning. Places, please. In this scene, you will be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start by leaning against this wall. Good, stay right there. Professional photographer of animals. It is your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Happy? Wise? Come on, say something to her. Successful, focused. Hello? Hello, that's it? That's not a conversation, it's the beginning of a conversation. You need to actually converse with her, be a human being. Do it again. I'm super scared right now. I like you. Here are all my hopes and dreams. I like you. No, that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's just you needed a better feel of the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them represent the people nearby. Okay. Now talk to her again. Okay. You must have worked really hard to get where you were. I bet you learned to lean into the pain. What are some sacrifices you've had to make? You must have worked really hard to get where you are. Why, pinball, you're messing it up again. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this. Everything was riding off of this. Okay. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. You're doomed to fail either way, so what does it matter? Oh, nice infinite sequence. Not really. Oh, a prison. We're back to this, are we? Let me out! Let me out! This isn't part of the performance! They're trying to kill me! I assure you. Well, I guess there's nothing else to do now but go into the void. Okay, yes. Now this is working.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world.
I see.
And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person.
Yeah.
To bring him closer.
Let's see what's next.
But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
June 2010. He did say that he made games until 2011. Mobius Trip. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. What's going on? Help, I'm blind. I can't see anything. What's going on? Oh yeah, I can definitely do this blind. Help, I'm blind. Then my vision suddenly went black. There was a giant door and then my vision went black. Please, someone talk to me. Please tell me how to solve this. It'd be better if there's voice acting, then you could at least do that. Are you gonna be killed by a giant door? Welp. What's going on? I can't see anything.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Okay. See how I'm gonna solve this. Truth. Speak something that is honest. I am bursting with creative energy. I can't keep making these. Yes, that's it. That's the truth. Of course. We're playing as him. I don't feel it anymore. I'm out of ideas. It's draining me.
I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way. His games are going to get more desperate from here on out.
I see.
After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Okay. December 2010. We're getting to the cusp of things. I'm about 50 minutes in, but I'm ready to keep going. Hopefully you guys are ready to keep going. Hello, where am I? What is this? What the? That was a nice little fog reveal. Where'd this island come from? Ooh. It reminded me of Dusk. Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. Where are you? What's wrong? You look lost. When I try to create, I feel empty. Man, that's harsh. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. This is certainly representing... Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. Do you? It isn't far. Are you sure? You have to take me to it. This is getting kind of depressing. I can do that.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
Now I'm stuck. Oh, this again.
Because from my perspective at the time, and,
what do you think?
And just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
In that case, close the first door. Right, okay. Now just press the switch here. Ah, that was so simple.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
I'm crashing. You have to say game development is simple and joyous and that you love it 100% of the time. Alright, making games is effortless. Ah, that feels wonderful. Why did the walls just crumble? Don't worry about it, just keep talking. Keep saying that creation is easy. So, lie. When I make games, I feel completely energized.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like...
I see.
Video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten.
Who's the girl?
I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
I know what you mean.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
This is May 2011. We're on the year that he stopped altogether. This is going to be where he gives up. The machine. Ooh, symbolic. Guard. Ma'am, glad to see you arrived safely. We've captured the machine. It is waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. I intend to be quick. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing that you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. Oh, no. That's wonderful. Press. Not to worry, I will be swift and efficient. As much as I can.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped. Your work was keeping us alive. Those people out there, can you imagine the pain you put them through? You need to go out and apologize to them. You have to admit to the people that you allowed them to suffer. I can be a nice cop or I can be bad cop. Think carefully, I know how to hurt you. I have seen the thing you fear. Alright then, I will speak to them for you. I will tell you everything. My friends, it falls on me to deliver bad news. The machine will not apologize. The machine refuses to admit that it deliberately hurt us. But this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us pay it retribution. Let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me, we'll destroy the machine. Follow me, we'll destroy everything the machine has created. Let's not take revenge on the machine. Let's just take care of business. Stage play again. Notice how things are bleeding in on each other. What the hell? Of course, his games themselves are bleeding in on each other. Oh, you're shooting everything. How delightful. Let's just destroy everything, shall we? Until there's nothing left. Let's return to the nothingness. We must purify this zone. If you've seen the other game that I was doing. Purify everything. Purify.
So
Purify.
now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation.
I see.
And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback.
Okay.
So, what if I did it for him? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
I do not know, man. I do not know. All I know is that this is tripping me out, man. Oh.
So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
And then it all went to hell, right? How much you want to bet? Put down your weapon. No, I think not.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better.
This isn't about him, is
I got to
it?
give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy.
But this isn't about him, is it? It's about you. It's always been about you.
So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Okay then. Can't wait. June 2011. The last game. It's already been over an hour, but I can handle it. The Tower. Let's do it.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world.
Yeah.
It's a very cold game.
Seems like it, man. Seems like it. Okay.
This room actually has a maze in it.
I see that. Okay then.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the level, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Wall 128 by 128. It's one of those default textures. Either similar to or exactly the same as in the Hammer editor, it would place things like this just to show you a grid.
It's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever.
I see.
I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
To try to stop you.
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here.
Me neither.
I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
15167. Thank you. 17, sorry. Interesting code. Okay. Got it. I think he doesn't want anyone to actually play this. I think the idea is that he wants you to get frustrated and quit. Sort of like an even more meta version of Sans from Undertale. At least that's what I'm seeing it as.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, you know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem.
You're obsessed with that, aren't you?
Failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem.
Yep.
But I can open this door for you, so...
He doesn't want you to fix his problem.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011, I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for.
Yeah?
I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
Yeah, he doesn't want you to know. He's trying to deliver a message to you. This was his game, meant
I just felt
specific.
so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy.
See?
It was that I needed to see myself in someone else.
It wasn't
I
his.
needed to be someone other than me.
It wasn't his problem, it
But he
was
stopped
yours.
and left. And it felt somehow like I had failed.
You drove him off. Sounds like. And now you regret it.
Where did I screw up?
You had the best of intentions, but unfortunately... Thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you to not to speak to me anymore.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally.
What the?
For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself. And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing.
Yep.
What does that mean?
It means these were your own problems and you projected them onto him. That makes sense to you just yet. Which is fine, you're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
Don't say anything. This is the final one, isn't it? This sad echo.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work. Is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
I just realized that they were closing in on me. For some reason, I was just walking around. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this really elongated playthrough. I just kept compelled to keep going. Maybe I'm like him. I don't know when to stop. But everything is black. Okay, epilogue. I was about to say. Let's see how much longer this will last. Look at that, it's like a train station. Or maybe a court building. Looks like a subway station, but I'm not sure. Could be a lot of things, really. It's a subway station. My bad.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
Yep.
Solution.
What the? Oh, that's clever. I have to give you props for that. But yeah. I know what you
I guess
mean.
if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed.
Chased him
Maybe
off.
he just likes making prisons.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not a matter of the artist having anything wrong with them. Sometimes it's just a matter of preference. You have to respect that. Of course, it's hard to tell when something is...
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Yeah. Your brain does tend to lie to you like that. When you have things wrong with it. And it's really unfortunate. And this is the end, huh? Just one big cavern. Like I said, it's hard to tell when something is a cry for help and when something is just a matter of preference, so...
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
I understand. It can be quite a nightmare. Can't it? If that was the last thing that he made, is
What
this
now?
something... Did you make this? Or did he make this? Is this something that he made before and that you're just using it to narrate
I
over?
need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna...
What the?
Okay.
An exterior. Sorry, I don't know if he's gonna start talking or not. I don't want to cut him off. I hate it when that happens. Maybe that's a form of doubt in itself. I don't even want to speak because I don't want to risk clouding over his narrative. And this game has certainly been very introspective. Giving you a lot to think about, at least for me, it did. For anyone who has actually stood by this video this long, all I gotta say is... thanks. I appreciate it. Even if you did skip through it. It's all good. What the? Oh, okay. It's like an elevator. How nice. But, yeah, this has been very interesting. I don't know how much longer this will go on, but I'll go on until it's over. Nothing wrong with an especially long video like this every once in a blue moon, you know? Is it looping? What the? No, it can't keep looping. This is probably something else, isn't it? I love the music in the skybox. Well, the skyline. Oh, I see. We're going back to this, are we? That energy field. I don't even remember what it was called. The Whisper? That machine that you had to sacrifice yourself on. Or maybe you just end up floating. Quite a trip. It's interesting how it incorporates elements from earlier on and then it makes you see them in a whole new light. Literally. And apparently he was the one adding the lamppost too. Strange. Projection is a powerful thing, isn't it? What the? Yep, that's what I thought. What the? Oh, it went black. I thought I'd get a overhead view. But then again, probably not that much is loaded. Oh, okay. It just became a maze. If I remember correctly, there was the Untitled Swan game had a big maze similar to this. It was fascinating. It's hard to tell if those are even polygonal or if it's just part of the texture. After a certain ways, you can't tell the difference. I think around here, although I can't even tell anymore, it might have been swapped out once I got far enough ahead, far enough up. But then again, that would be more efficient, wouldn't it? All I know is that it's now a texture. What the? When I'm moving the camera, there's some kind of cascade effect. It almost looks like it's warping. Trippy, man. Very trippy. And apparently that has been the game. That has certainly been a trip in the beginner's guide for R. So, this project would not have been possible without the following individuals. So, unfortunately, this is where it ends. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get away with this music, hopefully. Hopefully you guys are okay with me doing a really long video like this. But I felt it had to be done because, I mean, if I'm only going to do a one-off of this, I may as well do it right. And it's not like I'm going to make an especially big series out of this. I would just do 1 or 2 videos anyway, so why not go through to the end? It's sort of like when I did Dear Esther. However you pronounce that. That's how you can tell that there's a game that's more or less a walking simulator, but at the same time it felt you compelled to go through to the end. And I think that is proof that video games can come in all shapes and sizes. I can play Dark Souls 3 and get frustrated by that, but still enjoy it. And then I can play a game like this where there's pretty much no challenge whatsoever. It's pretty much just walking forward to the end, but the narrative gets you interested in it. So, that has been the Beginner's Guide. I thank you so much for tuning in with me for over an hour and 17 minutes. Make sure to spread this video around like very troubling signs of depression and things of that nature. This is definitely a very heavy subject matter. And I will see you next time. Now go out there and capitalize on life. Peace out, have a good one, and have a nice and pleasant day. If you enjoyed the content and want to stay up to date, I upload 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. You can also subscribe and hit the bell icon, or just check out the end screens right here.